The Targaryens are known for their silver hair, their dragons, their vicious and unrelenting need to be conquerors and rulers, and also marrying their siblings to keep their bloodline pure, I guess? I don't really want to talk about that though. I want to talk about the outfits. I need a red light. Hi, I'm Tay. I'm a fashion designer and artist. Welcome to my channel. With the recent release of the new House of Dragons series, I thought it might be fun to do a design video focused on the Targaryen family. If you're new to my channel, firstly, you simply must subscribe or risk curse on your entire bloodline. Possibly. Probably not, but it's not worth the risk, is it? Secondly, this might be your first time joining us for a design video on my channel. Welcome. Basically, we're going to design a mini capsule collection for/inspired by the House Targaryen. Firstly, we'll do a wee bit of background, get some keywords together to start ideation phase, where we will create a mood board that will propel us into design mode. So stick around until the end to see what we create together here. George R.R. Martin did his big one with the Game of Thrones and House of Dragons series. The stories and characters and plots are complex and offer endless lore and entertainment. I'm a big fan of the Game of Thrones series, but it took me years to even start watching it because it just seemed so big and I wasn't sure if I'd be into it. Needless to say, when I started watching, I was completely hooked, and now it's a permanent comfort show for me. House Targaryen are an interesting piece of the world that was built though. They ruled over Westeros for like 300 years, about a century after fleeing their homeland of Valyria. The Targaryens had the upper hand for so long because, of course, they had dragons. Many of the clan had special ties to the dragons, and some even apparently had visions and dreams that could predict pieces of the future. Not to get into too much lore here, because I don't know about you, but I haven't got to spare 14 years to explain the complexities of the full Targaryen history. But after their dragons began dying and civil war was wreaking havoc underneath their rule, the Targaryens lost the throne and slowly but surely basically became extinct. Something that always fascinated me about costume wardrobe for shows and films is that costume will always tell you a big part of the story, whether you clock it or not. For the Targaryens, their wardrobe is a visual storytelling. For example, if you look at Daenerys throughout the Game of Thrones series, her wardrobe changes significantly and represents her climb to power. But if you head back further in time, ages before Daenerys is born, the gowns worn by the Targaryen women give the feeling of the highest luxury. The gowns are heavy and restrictive, letting you know that they do not need to dress for agility because they are firm in their position of power on the throne. They don't need to worry about defending themselves. Also, the structure of the gowns are rather rigid, forcing the women to stand tall in their posture, giving even more of a prideful look. When we take a look at the wardrobe overall, notice the consistent use of texture, heavy brocade, scaly textures to emulate their dragons, intricate beading to show off their wealth and strength, and very sharp angles in the silhouettes. Their house flag features a three-headed dragon, which apparently represents Aegon, the Conqueror, and his two sister wives, but has a double representation as 3 dragons were also used to conquer Westeros. There are a few variations of the house flag, such as inverted colors and different colors, but I think the black and red version is the one that best represents the house. Now that we have a wee bit of history and style analysis done here, I'm going to use our new knowledge to think of some keywords which will aid us in our ideation phase. Stepping back and looking at these images, thinking about the Targaryen history and the details we've talked about in their wardrobe, our keywords for today are sharp, wealthy, vicious, scaled. Let's see what these can get going for us. Let's hit ideation and guess where we're gonna go. Pinterest. Ideation phase, we are just grabbing as many visuals as possible. Using my keywords, I'll search through aesthetics and photographies and art that are tied to those words. And yes, I'm using Pinterest, but if you're working on a serious project, avoid Pinterest almost at all costs. Pinterest is flooded with ads and AI imagery these days, but another thing to be considered is that if you need to credit the images you find for a serious project, whether it be for a client or for school, you need to be able to find the original source of the image. And that can be difficult on Pinterest. What's more, you don't want to spend heaps of time collecting images, fall in love with how your mood board is looking, only to have to remove a specific image because you can't find the source. Best to stick to art archives, magazines, or even Instagram can work great. I utilize Pinterest for this step because these design challenges I give myself are for fun, and honestly, there's only maybe about 50 of you seeing these videos right now. We're just gonna collect, screenshot and save for as long as we feel like. There's never really a distinct timeline to this phase, and I never know how many images I've collected by the end of it. I just sort of get the vibe of, okay, stop. Images in hand and my blank canvas ready, we're going to arrange the pictures now and see what cohesion and vibe start coming together. There is always going to be some type of through line, and because our research and keywords are fresh in our mind, this is almost a surefire way to guarantee design ideas. Some images might not make the cut, and sometimes you might need to hit the image sourcing step again, but resize, move around, arrange, move around again, and here it is. Our mood board for our mini capsule collection for the House Targaryen. It's design time, baby. I always begin the design process with preliminary sketches, and I do this for almost anything I do creatively. If I want to do a painting, most of the time, sometimes I'll do thumbnail sketches to see a better idea of what I want for the final piece. Not every time, sometimes you just have to get to work right away and start painting or start drawing, but preliminary sketching for these design challenges right after our mood boarding session always helps me get out ideas and pull different elements that I want to see included in the final pieces. I have a lot of ideas, as you can see, for the Targaryen collection. Of course, we won't be doing all of these. You want to know something too? When I was studying fashion, I had a couple professors that would consistently have to tell me that I need to slim down my work, like make it less. And that's not like a flex for me to say, like, oh, I always did so much and they were trying to stifle my shine or whatever. I don't know if that's like a saying, but they would say like, decrease the volume of your presentation here. And basically that's because they're trying to train you for real life clients and projects. And oftentimes there are time constraints and you don't want like 1,400,000 things for your boss or client to look at. And I guess if you're told, hey, 2 final pieces maximum, or if you're told a 3-minute presentation total, you do have to listen. Anyways, maybe that's why I make these YouTube videos instead of working for a design house or have a boss, because I always just do too much. But not this time, baby. Here are our final pieces. I really struggled with this one, guys. I had 10 preliminary sketches that I really felt I could have finalized, but it's a challenge for a reason, and I managed to whittle it down to just 4. And honestly, here's the preliminary sketches I'll put on screen for you. I'll leave it up for a moment. Should I do a part 2? You let me know if you want to see any of these extended, or maybe another round of House Targaryen, or even a different house in the universe. Anyways, 4 total pieces. Let's go through each. Piece 1 is an A-line 2-piece gown in a black heavy luxe satin. The bodice is almost sort of a drop waist effect, but comes down to a center split in a point, exposing the upper part of the skirt. Bodice is heavily structured, of course, corset back, red piping throughout the seams with a red leaf scroll applique along those seams, and a red velvet trim around the edges. The skirt has a red metallic shantung silk pleated insert in the center, like an underskirt, and I just love that fabric. Look how gorgeous, by the way. And the train has a mirrored insert in the back, but that is black tulle ruffle layers until about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way down the back, before it becomes a black pleated chiffon for the rest of the train. I did a cape on the illustration showing the front of the dress, as you can see, but had to remove that to show the back. That would just be a red silk chiffon draped and dragon heads as the brooch clasps. Piece 2, and the most complex construction-wise piece I've done for this one. Each of those black sort of pointed ruffles you see throughout the sleeves and the outer skirt there are individual cut pieces of a black faux reptile skin vinyl, shaped and placed to emulate, of course, dragon scales. Bodice is in a red matte velvet. Neckline is an angular central pointed shape, as I noticed, again as we discussed, that the Targaryens do a lot of really harsh angles in their wardrobe pieces, which just works very well for their vibe. The waistline curves into a point as well. Gold braided rope trim on that one. That skirt insert in in red that you're seeing there is the underlayer of the skirt, and it's in a red silk satin, sort of creating a slight juxtaposition between the severe faux reptile skin and the more shiny, rich, expensive feel. Piece 3, black damask embossed velvet for the bodice, and it's a drop waist. I reckon this would have to be a 2-piece as well to get the effect I'm going for here. Skirt underneath is a sheath silhouette layered chiffon, matching high neck drape off the shoulder sleeves that split on the bicep and turn into a waterfall sleeve. Massive gold embroidered and beaded appliques on the waist and hips. Finally, piece 4, an all-white look. A-line gown, lots of layers and pleats in the chiffon skirt there. Bodice has a sharp angled point into the center, and the bodice's main material is a white faux viper, so pythonous snake skin vinyl. Padded and angled hip details match that in the neckline. The neckline is voluminous and pointed cap sleeve up top, and they're both in a white damask jacquard brocade. The back is a bit hard to see here, but there is a lace-up detail throughout the entire bodice with a full modesty panel. That was another thing I noticed during our Heist Dragon research, is that they seem to mainly lean more towards modest fashion for their wardrobe, so I kept that for the most part throughout all of these. Anyways, that's all 4 pieces of our mini capsule collection inspired by and for House Dragon, House Targaryen. What do you think? Which one is your favorite? For this channel and these challenges, this video is the current record for most preliminary sketches. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and comment your favorite look. A few of you really enjoyed the Brittany Broski video I did and left some really lovely comments, and I can't tell you how much that just makes my day and warms my wee black heart. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hope you're having a lovely day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!